In March 2026, a photo leaked online. It showed a Serbian Air Force MiG-29, a Soviet-era fighter jet that NATO largely stopped worrying about sometime around the Clinton administration, carrying 2 Chinese missiles that can travel at Mach 4.5 and hit targets 400 kilometers away. The photo wasn't supposed to be public. Someone slipped up. Within 48 hours, the Bulgarian government was quietly asking whether its Soviet-era air defenses could actually intercept those things. The answer was no. A reporter asked Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić about the missiles on national television. He confirmed it immediately. Then he said something that should have landed on front pages across Europe and mostly didn't. We have things we do not show. Because while everyone was watching Ukraine, watching NATO's eastern flank, watching the big geopolitical chess match between Washington and Moscow, a landlocked Balkan country of 7 million people with no coastline and no NATO membership was quietly transforming its military into something its neighbors cannot currently stop. This is that story. Let's start with what was said out loud, because it's remarkable even by Balkan political standards. And Balkan political standards are not a low bar for remarkable. In a 2026 briefing on Serbian armed forces capabilities, Vučić said Serbia has been secretly rearming for years, not investing in defense, secretly. He said the extent of the new capabilities had been deliberately concealed. At most, 5 people are aware of what we've acquired, and that observers would be surprised by what gets revealed at a planned military parade in September. He confirmed Chinese hypersonic missiles, mentioned Israeli precision rocket artillery, referenced weapons not yet publicly disclosed, and said people couldn't dream about everything we have, everything we are acquiring. They couldn't dream. For context, this is a head of state telling his own population that his government has been running a covert arms acquisition program and is proud of it. That is not normal behavior for a country that officially describes itself as militarily neutral. Serbia's official posture since 2007 has been military neutrality. Not NATO, not Russia's formal sphere, just neutral. And yet what Vučić described is not a neutral country. It is a country that purchased Chinese air defense systems, combat drones, and hypersonic missiles alongside Israeli precision rockets and 12 French Rafale jets on order, all simultaneously, while publicly insisting it just wants to be left alone. The word for that posture is not neutral. The word is hedged. And in the Balkans specifically, hedged countries tend to be planning for something. The CM-400AKG is a Chinese air-to-ground missile originally designed for the Pakistani JF-17 fighter and is considered the export version of China's YJ-12. In its terminal phase, it reaches somewhere between Mach 4.5 and Mach 6, depending on the source, which puts it in the hypersonic neighborhood by conservative estimates. It carries either a 330-pound high-explosive warhead or a 440-pound armor-piercing warhead, and its passive radar guidance homes in on radar emissions, making it specifically dangerous to air defense systems. Pakistan used the CM-400 against India in May 2025. Vučić cited that conflict directly on Serbian state television. They destroyed the S-400 radar system. That's where Chinese weapons proved to be exceptional. Serbia is now the second foreign operator of this missile. The only previous customer was Pakistan. When photos of Serbian MiG-29s carrying the CM-400 circulated in March 2026, the Bulgarian government ran the numbers on whether its S-300 systems could intercept it. The S-300 is a legacy system from the 1980s. The conclusion from Bulgarian defense analysis was that the CM-400 at terminal hypersonic speeds was effectively uninterceptable by anything Bulgaria currently operates. The nearest credible regional defense against it sits in Greek and Romanian Patriot batteries. Croatia has no large-scale air defense at all. Its 12 French Rafale jets are more modern than Serbia's MiG-29s, fewer in number, and carrying no answer to a missile traveling faster than their radar can respond. The regional military balance did not shift when Vučić gave his press conference. allegiance. It shifted sometime before that while nobody was looking. Here's where the story gets complicated, because Vučić is not wrong that Serbia's neighborhood got more difficult in 2025 and 2026. He's just telling a version of events that conveniently omits his own role in making it more difficult. On March 18, 2025, Croatia, Albania, and Kosovo signed a declaration on security and defense cooperation in Tirana. The three countries described it as a stability measure focused on shared training and military interoperability. Croatia and Albania are both NATO members. Kosovo is not, but Pristina expects its security force to complete its transition to a full army by 2028. Belgrade's response was immediate. Vučić said on state television, "They are waiting for a favorable moment. We are preparing for their attack." He accused Croatia and Albania of planning to exploit a moment of global chaos, specifically citing the Ukraine war and Middle East escalation as the window they would use to strike. He also mentioned Bulgaria was being encouraged to join this alignment and warned that Serbia is surrounded. Security analysts across the region describe the trilateral agreement as largely symbolic. It requires NATO approval before meaning anything operational, and Croatia, as an EU and NATO member, has essentially zero incentive to start a Balkan war in 2026. The Croatian defense minister's response to Vučić's statements was, "The time has passed when we asked Belgrade what we were going to do." That line is worth sitting with. Two NATO member states and a third country moving toward membership just formally coordinated defense policy in a region where Serbia is the only non-aligned actor. Whether or not the immediate military threat is real, the strategic isolation logic from Belgrade's perspective is not hard to follow. Serbia has been the odd one out since the 1990s, and now its neighbors are putting that in writing. Vučić is using that isolation to justify everything: the missiles, the conscription, the secret procurement. Whether he's genuinely alarmed or politically opportunistic, and with Vučić the answer is usually both simultaneously, the outcome is the same. Mandatory military service was abolished in Serbia in 2011. In late 2025, the government announced it was coming back. Starting in late 2026 or early 2027, men aged 19 to 27 will serve 75 days of compulsory service. 2 months of intensive training, followed by 2 weeks of field exercises, with roughly 20,000 conscripts cycling through annually. The program has 90 million euros budgeted over 3 years just for the service itself, not counting infrastructure construction already underway at bases in Pančevo, Priboj, and Niš. The incentive structure is worth noting. Civilian service for conscientious objectors runs over 150 days, twice as long as military service. Serbia is not being subtle about which option it prefers you to choose. Beyond conscription, Vučić announced Serbia wants to double its military capacity within 18 months and expand special forces by 700 to 800 personnel. Serbia already holds the strongest conventional military in the Western Balkans by a significant margin, 63rd globally, with 242 tanks, 115 military aircraft, and a defense budget representing 2.65% of GDP. That figure exceeds NATO's 2% threshold for a country that has no intention of joining NATO. The broader procurement program, which Bloomberg put at $17 billion in total defense upgrades, layers Chinese air defense and missiles on top of Israeli precision rocket systems, Russian tank stocks, domestic armored vehicle production, French Rafales, and Airbus helicopters and transport aircraft. The procurement list reads like someone who built it to be unbeholden to any single supplier or any single bloc. Serbia held its first joint military exercise with China in Hebei province in July 2025. It buys French jets while confirming Chinese hypersonic missiles. The message Belgrade is sending to every capital simultaneously is the same: we buy from whoever we want and we're not asking permission. That posture extends to diplomacy too. Belgrade has refused EU sanctions on Russia, maintained deep Chinese military ties, and kept its EU membership application technically alive, all simultaneously. No other country in Europe is currently pulling off all three. There is a Serbian man somewhere right now, 19 years old, probably somewhere between Belgrade and Niš, who did not expect to spend 75 days in uniform when he turned the page on 2026. His grandfather almost certainly served under Yugoslavia. His older brother did not. The country that abolished conscription because it decided the threat environment didn't justify it has now decided emphatically that it does. The announcement is almost secondary. The Serbian government had already spent 45 million euros preparing barracks before the conscription law was formally passed. The rooms were ready before the law existed. That is not a country gesturing at readiness. That is a country that made the decision internally and then went through the motions of the public announcement afterward. The Serbian military currently has about 22,500 active professionals, a relatively small force for a country with Kosovo on one border, Bosnia on another, and 2 NATO members on a third. The passive reserve theoretically numbers 600,000 citizens with prior military experience, but a reserve that hasn't trained in 15 years is an administrative fiction more than a fighting capability. The conscription program specifically targets that gap, turning a list of names into people who have actually held a rifle recently, which, in a country that abolished conscription 15 years ago, is a lower bar than it sounds. This is not a military being built for foreign adventures. Serbia has no navy, no blue water projection capability, and no plausible territorial interest beyond its immediate neighborhood. The target scenario is one, a high-intensity regional conflict, fought close to home against opponents who are smaller but increasingly NATO networked. The September parade is where Vučić plans to show what was hidden. Serbians being told their country was surrounded, outgunned, and that he personally fixed it without anyone knowing. Whether or not the underlying threat is real, that is a very specific political story being told at a very specific moment. The Balkans have a specific feature that makes military buildups more dangerous here than in most of Europe. Unresolved territorial disputes, recent war memory, and ethnic minority populations split across multiple borders, all in a geography small enough that a military incident can reach multiple capitals in under 10 minutes. Kosovo is the primary flashpoint. Belgrade does not recognize it. The Kosovo security force transitions to a formal army by 2028 with Croatian and Albanian backing. Serbian communities in northern Kosovo have been the site of repeated incidents, arrests, infrastructure disputes, shootings on civilians. Each incident generates pressure in Belgrade to respond. Each response generates counter-pressure in Pristina and Zagreb, and the cycle has been running for years at increasing temperature. Into that environment, Serbia has introduced the first Chinese hypersonic missiles in Europe, confirmed a secret arms acquisition program that ran for years without public acknowledgement, restored conscription, and committed $17 billion to a modernization plan that deliberately draws from 4 competing blocs. Serbia currently has more tanks than Croatia, Albania, and Kosovo combined. Croatia has 70 to 75 tanks. Albania and Kosovo have none. In the air, Serbia's MiG-29s are older, but now carry missiles that no regional air defense can intercept. The trilateral agreement Belgrade fears was partly signed because those 3 countries collectively balance Serbia's conventional strength only when combined, which tells you something about how the regional military math looks from Tirana and Zagreb. My honest read, an actual Balkan war in 2026 is unlikely. NATO presence in Kosovo, EU diplomatic investment, and basic strategic common sense push against it. But a serious incident, one that kills people, activates mutual defense considerations, and forces NATO to make choices it would rather not make, is no longer the low probability event it was 5 years ago. Vučić said Serbia will not fire first. He also confirmed hidden weapons, secret procurement, and a military parade designed to shock observers. In the Balkans, the distance between those 2 positions has a way of collapsing without much warning. Serbia is 7 million people in a landlocked country most Western viewers can't can't place on a map without help. No ocean access, no nuclear weapons, no seat at any great power table. By the metrics that usually define strategic significance, it shouldn't register. And yet in 2026, it is the only country in Europe operating Chinese hypersonic missiles. It maintains active military relationships with Russia, China, France, and Israel simultaneously while belonging to none of their blocs. It is restoring conscription, expanding special forces, and planning a public military showcase specifically designed to reveal capabilities it spent years hiding. Small countries in complicated neighborhoods with unresolved territorial disputes and recent war memory don't build that kind of military because things are going well. They build it because they think something is coming, or because they want the other side to believe they think something is coming, or, and this is the Balkan answer, both things are true at the same time, inseparably, and the distinction stops mattering long before the shooting starts. The missiles are real, the barracks are ready, the parade is in September. Watch that parade.